Howdy gamers, it's your old friend Babavidya. So Destiny's over. June 9th, last update, no Destiny 3, studio moving on, every channel out here running the eulogy, Destiny dying, Destiny dead. Bungie's finished, I'm done. That's what they all say. And the last update's good, but I'm done. Yeah, that's not what this is. I'm not here to bury it. I'm not even really here for the discourse. I'm not here to give you my personal story of getting into the game. A little context though. Came in around 2015, Taken King, saw a friend playing it, ended up with the PlayStation that year. Destiny in the box found its way to me, made my fate ever since. And the point of this video, somewhere in the last decade of all that happening, I figured out what the game has been quietly teaching me. Or figured out that this game has been quietly teaching me all along what I'd already been learning along my own path. The oldest philosophy on earth about reality, about the nature of the self, about consciousness. And you don't hear it being said out there, this kind of stuff. Except maybe a couple lore YouTubers that really dig in. So before the lights go out, I want to be somebody that said it. I'm not going to do these concepts justice. I'll tell you that up front. I can't, but I'm going to try, baby. I'm all sweaty, and while it's still here, I'm ready to go with some sweaty explanations, because naturally this is going to be a ramble. A structured ramble though, but a ramble about something I deeply, truly care about. So bear with me. This isn't a eulogy, this is a wish. I'll explain that later. It's an epic line. I'll explain, but let's start with the witness. And the witness from the get-go, from that first cutscene, should have stopped you in your tracks, okay? Stop you cold. Because in philosophy that I care about, the witness is the name for the highest thing in you. Pure awareness. The part that watches everything and nothing is touched by it. Or touched by nothing. The seer behind everything you choose. And Bungie just gave that name to their final villain. And that's no coincidence. Obviously, that's the whole game. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm here to talk about. So the short version, and if you're watching a long-ass Destiny video, you don't even need a short version, you already know it. The witness, the first civilization, the traveler ever blessed with everything for eons. And despite all of that wasn't enough. Because the light gives and it never explains. It hands you life and death and won't tell you why. And they couldn't stand that. So an entire species sheds their bodies and collapsed into a single mind, one I, the letter I, one concept big enough to force an answer on all of existence. The witness. The one made of many, always saying we. And what it wanted, of course, wasn't death, but it didn't want destruction either. It wanted stillness. The final shape. Freeze all of reality into one perfect, unchanging form so that nothing can ever change. Ever be lost, ever surprise it again. End suffering by ending change. You think about that, and you say it slow, and it doesn't sound like a monster. It sounds like grief. That's why it resonates so much with me, because it sounds like every person who ever just wanted to hurt to stop. And here's what gets me. Here's what gets my goose. People say that the witness chose control instead of surrender, that it's a villain. That's not quite it, though. A whole civilization surrendered, gave up their whole separate identities and selves, dissolved into the whole. That is complete surrender. They aimed it at control. They surrendered in order to dominate. And listen up, because that's the most dangerous version of the spiritual disease. Capital D dangerous. Because it can and did wear the robes of the very thing that would have healed it in the first place. And I want to be honest, because I want to be honest with you, because I don't even personally see the witness as a villain, truly. Call me crazy. But what I see is an answer, a complete embodied spiritual answer to the nature of consciousness, and an answer that we could have chosen ourselves as the guardian, and we willfully did not. Because here's what else nobody's saying. The witness was one hair away from being right. The acceptance of reality and total rejection of reality are the same coin. Love and hate, you know the analogy. Same metal, same weight, just opposite faces. The witness embodied surrender, embodied awareness. It was all in on the darkness. Embodied the whole thing so completely that only at the very last degree, at the very last second, it tipped over the edge of salvation. And complete acceptance became complete rejection, or was seeded with complete rejection. It didn't miss the answer by a mile. It missed it by the width of a coin. And that's what makes it one of the most beautiful villains ever written in my sphere of entertainment that I like, in my sphere, period. It's not the opposite of enlightenment. It is enlightenment that flinched at the last second. And the witness was never stupid, despite the make-a-mind allegations, all the memes, and I love the design, by the way. It was never stupid. It saw clearly the whole way, had real insight. Its mistake wasn't blindness. It was the cut, okay? It looked at all of creation and decided most of it. The change, the loss, the doubt, the suffering, and all of that just shouldn't exist. So it started excising and even walled off the parts of itself that regretted what it was doing. Sequestered its own dissent so it wouldn't even have to hear itself doubt. But here's the rub. Here's why it wasn't quite right. Because everything it cut away was just as much, just a part of creation as what it kept. And that's the sin. Not ignorance, but amputation. Seeing the whole of reality and deciding that most of it had to go. Anyways, that's me trying to put words to the beauty, to illustrate the concept of the witness that I love so much. Okay, and we're moving on. So the witness. If the witness is what happens when a mind tries to bend reality to its will, let's talk about my girl Savathûns. Savathûns is what happens when a mind learns to bend itself. We move from my favorite, the witness, into another favorite. We're going all stars, baby, Savathûn. One of my favorite characters in anything, a trickster, the queen of lies. Always subverting what you expect and bending the frame back on you. And here's the part I love the most. The part that's weird, exactly like me. Her power called in Baru. She doesn't gain strength from violence like the rest of the hive or her siblings. She goes stronger every time someone is wrong about her, every misread, misunderstanding, every bad theory, every time a person thinks they got her figured out. That's just food for her, baby. Misunderstanding for her is food. That's power. And that's probably why it lands so hard for me, because there's a lot of that in how I'm wired. Being misunderstood and was never truly the wound it is for me for most people. Let them be wrong. It doesn't have to be a wound. There's a strange power in it. In Baru. She just made a religion out of it. There's a line in the Witch Queen trailer, the teaser trailer, Eris Morn. Walking into Savathûn's throne world, she says, "It is the mind that must bend to see the truths hidden here." Years of philosophy I've practiced. And the video game people said it in one sentence. Because here's what Savathûn's throne world actually is. It's not a planet. It's an extension of the mind, made into a place you can walk through. And the trick of it, the thing Eris is warning you about in that line, is that you can't see what's really there with the rigid mind, with preconceived bullshit going on. The preconceived mind going in thinking you already know. The truth doesn't bend to meet you. You bend to meet it. The world doesn't change. You're seeing changes. And then the world was what was already there. Already that. That's the whole mechanism. Not that the mind must break, not that the mind must dominate. That's the witness. That's what we just talked about. We just did that. The mind that must bend, stay rigid, and reality stays foggy, stays opaque. You'll fight the world forever trying to make it confess that way. But you bend, you soften, you reshape what you're willing to perceive, get your mind right, and the truth that was hidden the whole time, it just resolves. Same room, new eyes. Everything that was already there in the first place. And that's why I love that girl. That's why I love her ultimately opposed and against the witness. The witness bent all of reality to one shape and called it truth. Savathûn's, the queen of lies of all people, Queen of Lies, knew the opposite. That the only thing you ever actually get to bend, get control over, is your own mind. And here's the beautiful part. Because she feeds on being misunderstood, the only way to beat the god of deception is to refuse to be deceived. To see clearly. Her bending your mind towards the truth isn't just enlightenment. It's the win. It's the literal win condition. She's a liar, but she's a god of deception, but she's pointing at the deepest truth in the whole game. In this whole game, reality isn't waiting for you to conquer it. It's waiting for you to just turn your head, to see it truly for what it is, the experience. So, but the mind is the thing that bends. And bending is how you touch the tangible, touch what is real. Then the obvious next question is, how far does that go? Let's get a little more sweaty with it. Can you bend a mind hard enough to actually change the world? Not just see it, but to shape it? Well, it's funny you should ask, baby. Because Bungie was already on it. The game's got 3 answers. It's called subclasses. And these are my 3 favorite subclasses in the game. That's not an accident. And I'm not going into some Brady Games explanation of the subclasses. I'm just saying, because once you see what they actually are, they stop being powers and, just some video game stuff and start being 3 answers to the same question. What do you do with reality once you realize that you can touch it? We go into the darkness. You got stasis, control, freeze, lock, and load. Shatter it. The power to stop things where they are. This was the witness's whole philosophy, that you can hold in your hand, a little crystal of ice. The final shape, it was a button. Stasis, stillness mistaken for peace. Stasis is about will and dominion. And then you got strand, which instead of control, strand is like participation in reality, in the melody of reality. The official description in the game, almost word for word, is that all minds are connected in a web of consciousness. And that wielding strand is to pull on the hidden connecting threads, to create, to manipulate, to unravel. That's Indra's net, baby. That's the idea that everything is one connected fabric and you can reach and weave manifestation in a game mechanic. And the kicker, how do you unlock it? You go meditate at a pond. They make you sit in meditation with the 80s montage on to earn the power to shape reality from consciousness. The whole thing I care about trying to transmit and communicate as quest steps. Surrender, but is participation. That's strand. And I'm not trying to get too Brady games on it, doing, the subclass guide. That's not what this is. I want you to see the beauty underneath these concepts. You got the void, my third favorite. Light's nothingness. Actually, they're all tied. They're all tied for my favorite. Light's nothingness, the void. But it's nothingness, but not absence. It's a ground. Shunya, the fertile void that you come back to. The silence underneath everything. The emptiness that isn't empty. Everything and nothing. The dichotomy, that dichotomy is the point. I'm not doing it justice with this Brady Games walkthrough. The same darkness that gives you strand and stasis, you freeze the world or you flow with it, awareness through dominion or awareness through surrender. The game hands you both and lets you pick. And that's the whole question. But what I'm trying to say is in the game, those are huge philosophical, metaphysical concepts. But in the game, that's just your loadout. That's just the loadout screen. What subclass will I play today? But it's those existential ass questions. It's so good. The deepest philosophy in the franchise. Some of the deepest shit out there. And just sitting in the loadout screen. And Strand came out of Lightfall. The clown expansion, the expansion everybody clowned on, everybody dunked on, the one that started all of this doom. And that gave us the most conceptually beautiful power in the game, in my true opinion, factual opinion. Arriving in the most divisive chapter, the light in the doom, even though it's from the darkness, the whole time. That's what I'm trying to transmit in this video, people. Okay, getting too sweaty on subclasses. Let's talk about the Ahamkara. Wish dragons. We moving on, we move fast. And once again, the name is everything. Ahamkara. Ahamkara is a Sanskrit word. It means the I, like I was talking about with the witness. The ego, the I maker. The little voice that says, I am this. I want that, and builds a whole self out of the wanting, out of identity. Bungie put wish-granting dragons in their game and named them after the part of the mind that manufactures desire. Sit with that for a second. That should give you chills, dude. This game is so good. Now, Ahamkara grant wishes. But you got to watch what they live on. They don't feed on the wish coming true. They feed on the gap. The distance between the world as it is and the world that you wish it were. They eat the wanting itself. And if you spent any time with this kind of philosophy, you already feel me. You feel where this is going. Because that gap, that ache between what is and what you want, that's not a destiny invention. That's the oldest diagnosis of human suffering that there is. The Ahamkara are desire. They are desire given teeth and tentacles. So what happens when you make a wish? It backfires every time. Not because the dragon's evil, but because a wish spoken from the ego, the I maker, is a wish that the ego can twist. Do you see the narrative? You state your desire plainly, and the desire, it eats you alive. Don't have to state it plainly, but I'm saying that like a hunter wanted to know her dead family again, and the dragon became her mother and started feeding her memories until somebody had to shake her and tell her to put it down, put the dragon down. A warlock, Ikora Ray, the baddiest warlock, wanted to be someone who could never be tempted, and she got it. But you know what happened? She laughed much less after that day. More content, sure. But she lost her laughter. She got peace, and it cost her the spice of life. She's still spicy, though. That's the cost of a clean wish. It takes something because it always takes something. Out of everybody, listen up. You know who I'm talking about next. Out of everybody, every guardian, every warlord, only exactly one person ever used an Ahamkara perfectly correctly, Marasav's. And how she did it is a whole lesson. She never stated it just plainly. Never begged for the wish. She never stayed in the wish. She communicated through symbol, through indirection, through restraint. She had herself together. She wasn't lost in the wanting. She never handed the eye maker a desire that it could distort, because she never grasped. She just held the vision with the wishing ball and let go of the grip of the outcome. Everyone who spoke their wish out loud got devoured by the gap, but the one who held it loosely and detached, that girl got a whole metaphysical city. And there it is again, the same coin, just awoken sized, human sized. The witness tried to freeze the gap shut, force reality to match the wish forever. The Ahamkara are what happens when you let the gap consume you instead. Two failures, just kind of opposite directions. You clench it shut in your butt cheeks, or you drown in it. And the narrow path between them, the hair's width, that's Mara's path. That's what the awoken do. You want it fully, want the wish fully, have the vision clear, and then open your hand. Desire without the grasping. The wish held loosely enough, spoken loosely enough, that it can't turn around and eat you. One more thing about them. Even dead, the Ahamkara aren't gone. And we spent the whole season of the wish hunting down all the eggs, and trust me, they're out there. The bones still whisper, still pull people in. There's a line in the lore, you must never scatter the bones. The desire outlives the one who desired it. Even the bones still want. So hold on to that thought. Hold on to that thought. So how does this all end? The final confrontation with the witness, the final shape, and of everything Bungie has ever built in this franchise. This is the part that made me scream, wake up the whole apartment. They don't send you to a fortress. They don't put you on a big ship, on top of a big ship, on top of a planet, a giant arena of a planet. The last battle happens inside the traveler, the pale heart. And the pale heart is made of memory. It's a landscape built out of everything the traveler has ever seen. You walk through your own past, the old tower, the places you've been, and the witness's corruption, its self, its will, its own exertion of consciousness grows through it as thorns and spikes as you go. I need you to hear this. I need you to hear what this actually means, because it stunned me, and it still stuns me while I'm talking about it. I yelled, I cried. The final boss fight of this 12-year story takes place inside of consciousness itself. You're fighting your last battle inside the light, inside of a mind state of memory against your own doubt and your pain and the witnesses, the grief and struggle. And all of that interplay is made physical, made manifest in the consciousness of the traveler. That's not a metaphor someone wrote in a lore book. That's level design. That's the ground you were treading on. They built the inside of awareness itself and made you conduct your final journey there. I hope you're feeling this. The form of the game became the content of the game. And that's the ceiling of what this medium can do, of narrative and storytelling, video game. So anyways, how you actually finish it, how you actually conclude it, how you actually beat it. You closing in. And as you're closing in, the witness reaches into your memories and offers you a personalized final shape. Your own perfect, painless, pristine frozen paradise, custom built for you. Everything you ever wanted, held still forever. And the heroic act, the indomitable human spirit, the thing that wins, is to refuse it. To say no to your own wish made eternal. You don't beat the witness by wanting harder, by powering up and just being stronger. You beat it by being the one that can hold the light and the dark, these universal powers at once, at the same time, and not need to freeze either one. Prismatic. No need to control, just be. That thing that feared loss, that just didn't want any more loss. That craved control, undone by someone who could hold everything and chose to grip nothing besides the ghost. That's the answer to the whole game. Nobody had to tell you this because you played it. And look, I could go on. There is so much more I'd love to sit in. More Marasovs, more Ikora, more Uldren, my absolute favorites. The Veil, the lore everybody dunked on, hates, that, you know, if you just read into it, it's beauty. The Nine, the Vex in their own private kind of forever. The Gardener and the Winnower since before time playing their game. There's so much here, so much beauty, and it's going away. And even if I could put it into words, there's no time to explain. There's no time to explain why I ain't got no time to explain. There's just too much. You know what I'm talking about, and there always was. The Traveler, grace that won't explain itself. I can't leave without sitting for a second with the thing at the center of it all. The Traveler. Nobody knows what it is. Over a decade, and Bungie never told us. And I've come to believe that that's not a withholding. I believe that's the whole point. What we know is just the light. It shows up. Dying worlds, and it gives, and it gives. Terraforms the planets. lifts the species up in the golden ages, hands out power like it's water, and it never says a word. It never explains. It never tells you why it chose you or what it wants or what any of this is for. Does that sound familiar? It just gives in total silence and lets you make of it whatever you make. And if you were listening earlier, you already feel the tragedy in that because you live it. It's existential, it's human experience. But also you feel the tragedy because that silence is what broke the precursors, that existentialism. They had paradise and no explanation, and they just couldn't bear it. And the broken precursors became the witness. The traveler's refusal to justify itself as the exact wound that became the witness. Grace that won't explain itself. Some people receive that and call it freedom. Some people receive the same thing and call it abandonment and go looking for something, anything, that'll finally impose an answer. And there's a line about the traveler that I never shook. The best voices never let themselves be heard at all. The choice is never mine. It is always yours. That is the most generous, gracious, and terrifying thing that a God can say. I won't decide for you. I'm going to give you everything, and I'm not going to tell you nothing. And let you choose who you become. Think about that for a second. That is not just a video game, baby. That's just true. That is just true. The choice is always yours. Okay? So let's talk about the choice in front of us right now. As I send this precious game off. Because Destiny's ending June 9th. The last update is fantastic. Lights are stay on, but nobody's home. Studio moves on with Destiny 3. We already said that. Everywhere you look, funeral mode. Everybody's out in the tower. I logged in on Tuesday with a tear in my eye, maybe 15. I get it. I do. I was right there. I was one of them players. And there's a real campaign going on right now. Big Daddy asked across. A lot of people rallying everybody to flood Sony. Make some noise. Demand the thing continue. And I want to be crystal clear. I'm with that all the way. It's working. It's good. Do it. Don't stop. But be careful about your perspective, because that's one way to convey a wish. Now, don't stop. But it's not the wish I came here to make. Because the game just spent like 12 years, like I said, teaching me a different way to want something while I was on my own learning journey to learn the same thing. Here's the deal. The witness already taught us how this thing goes wrong. You take something you love, you don't want to lose, something that is ending, and you try to freeze it. Hold it perfect and still exactly the way it was forever. What is that? That's the final shape, baby. That is the funeral as a way of life. And we watched where that road goes. We lived it. We played it. We lived it. I'm not going to do that to this game. I'm not going to just embalm it. I love the witness. So close to my heart, but the witness was wrong about the most important thing. That stillness does not necessitate peace. But without getting too deep in that dialing back, Bungie put it in their own goodbye. Actually, they titled it, Every End is a New Beginning. Not promising something's coming down the pipe, but that they knew how to hold a wish. So this isn't a eulogy. I told you this at the start. It's a wish. But we learned how to wish. A wish spoken plain just from the wanting, sitting in the wanting mind gets it twisted. A wish spoken from the wanting mind gets twisted. The Ahamkara taught us that. The only one who ever did it right, held the vision, and let go of the grip. So just like Queenie mode, we know what this is. Not grasping, not demanding. A wish held the right way. Hear this. Everybody listening. What I want. Here's what I want. From the few of you still here at the end of all of this. Let's go on an Ahamkara hunt. While the game is still alive, while there's still time with your boy Babavidya, go find them. Let's go find them. Every egg still hidden out there. Every egg we already recovered. Every whisper, every set of bones the lore says we'd never get rid of. The wish dragons are still in there. They were always in there. So we bring them together. Gather them up. And let's make one wish. Collective, all of us at once, for Destiny 3, for a rebooted part of the universe, or whatever it takes. For another studio and corporation, another engine, another decade, another day. Whatever it takes. Whatever shape it takes. And we make it the way Mara Sov's made hers. We follow the Queenie's example, but we don't grab the dragon by the throat and scream what we want. We hold the vision clear and bright and real, and then we open our hands and we let it go. Want it completely. We want Destiny 3, Destiny Forever completely. Want it completely, but grip it, not at all. No grippers. That's the only kind of wish that doesn't eat you. That's how you build a city, an empire, a queendom. And it's the only kind of wish that ever actually comes true. So again, the lore says you must never scatter the bones. Even dead, the wanting survives. The desire outlives the one who desired it. Well, good. Let it. Let this one outlive its ending. Let the wanting be the thing that doesn't die. But be careful how you have it oriented in your mind. Because if the game taught me anything, if all 12 years of it come down to one thing, it's that guardians make their own fate. And you know how to conduct a wish now, a proper wish with them dragons, with your awareness. So let's make ours. Okay? One moment before I go. One precious moment. Can we also make this wish to incorporate the people who actually built all this? Maybe nobody on the team will ever see it. It doesn't matter. I'm sending it your way, though, through the throne worlds. Anyway, however it reaches you, it doesn't matter, but it's going to reach the writers, the lore team, the ones who spent over a decade quietly, masterfully, putting real cosmology, real philosophy, real truth into a game that most gamers just logging on to grind, showed up to grind, while everyone else is out here writing the obituary, was writing the doom prophecies for Destiny. You were writing scripture. And not many people really noticed that. But I noticed. And I'm not the only one. This whole thing, everything I just said, that was me noticing out loud while there's still time. I don't got to name everybody. I don't got to name anybody. You know who you are, baby. You know the magic you put into this. Because you know the magic that is this. So thank you for all of it. You made something that found me and helped me change how I see. And no matter what becomes of this wish, however it manifests, I will be carrying that long after these servers, any servers, whatever, are but a memory.